My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white. Yeah, it's black and white. We're just black and white. It's my black and white. It's my black and white scarf.
Hello, and you're very welcome to the Townhead podcast. It's season 5, episode 3. It's 1-0 to Dundalk. Could this be something we could get used to saying? I certainly hope so. It's always a tricky one to go up to Ballybofey, but to come back down with the 3 points is even harder. So we'll gladly take those points tonight. To go through the match tonight, bit of a shake-up in the old lineup. Very welcome in, Pingu, for the first one of the season. How are you, Pingu?
How's it going, Chris? I love that introduction there at the start, the new intro. It's my first time, obviously, on since we got it. But yeah, no, good. Always nice. It's a rarity over the last couple of years to get on. I think I used to only come on when we lost the game, and then I'm coming on all together last season. But nice to get on. Nice to get back on now with a win.
Yeah, as I said in the intro there, Pingu, like we remember our trips previously to Ballybofey, and it's never an easy place to go and play, and even harder sometimes to come away with the victory. It seemed that way. Just your thoughts overall on the match tonight? Happy to get away with the win? Yeah,
I think, no matter if you have Finn Harps in the Premier Division or the First Division, to your point, Ballybofey is not a nice place to get to, even before you even take to the pitch. The pitch, the commentator said the pitch looked great. I think probably 10 minutes into the game, it didn't look that great anymore. So, and that's just, how that pitch looks kind of all the time and how it plays. So it's always a difficult place to go. But I think probably before the game we'd have took it. I think it was definitely a very, very nervy second half. We were under a lot of pressure, but I think Kieran Kilduff's going to be very happy going back down the road to Oriel with 3 points after that.
Yeah, and I think it's, consecutive clean sheets. It's another goal from a set piece. Like, these are things we dreamt of last year. Like, let's face it, they seem to be coming a lot more regular now this year. Like, it's clearly a strong foundation to build on.
Yeah, absolutely. And for once, I actually sided with the opposition commentators. So just before, a minute and 30 seconds in or whatever it was, and there was a tackle just outside the Harps box, and the ball was passed to Horgan, who looked like he was in a great position to make something happen, and the ref pulled it back, and everybody was dumbfounded into why he actually gave the free kick, and the commentators as well. And then you saw for a young lad like Kyo to be waving. I think Horgs walked away, but he waved Dervin away and said, "I'll take it." And to do that 2 minutes in was just it was fantastic. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start. And again, go back to the commentators, the poor Finn Harps commentators. The war ended 2 minutes into the game because I think they spent the next 15 minutes talking about how bad the rest of the night was going to be. So thankfully, they got that spot on.
Yeah, it's funny. The goal has only gone in, and they were still complaining. I'm still not too sure why it was a free kick, but it was. I'm
not even sure myself why it was a free kick, but either way, we'll definitely take those. Yeah.
That's something I didn't know that Sean Keogh had in his locker, and it seemed like a from afar anyway, it seemed like a strange, maybe it's just the angle that the camera's at or whatever, but it looks like a strange technique he has. It's a very short run up, and he bends it round the wall and across the keeper then the far side, it seemed.
Yeah, it was it was one, even again, I'm sorry that I keep referencing the commentators. They just mentioned like just where it was that it suited the left footer. But yeah, he just looked really, really confident, didn't he, when he stepped up, and to do it just one step and you turn around and do that. That's the kind of stuff a young Chris Clark used to do in the 5-a-side down in JJB back in the day, But it looked like something off the training ground, It didn't look like your typical free kick, but it was a great hell of a strike. And I mean, he put it in just literally the one spot that the goalkeeper couldn't get his hand on it, and it kind of felt like, when he waved Dervin away, you're thinking to yourself, he better put this away at this point. Like when he just had that kind of swag about him, and turn around and do that. I mean, the young lads from the town are definitely they're definitely showing their worth already 2 games in.
Yeah, just a reminder, we will do a player of the match competition tonight. So feel free to drop in comments there who you think is our player of the match tonight. And between myself and Pingu, we will pick one of yous, and you will have 15-inch pizza from Tony's Pizzeria. I said it was Tony's Pizza last week, but just to reiterate, it's not. It'll be your pizza, but Vinny will make it for you.
Unless your name is Tony.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be a coincidence, all right. I don't think that's ever happened, mind you. But for this defense, I mean, I kind of skipped through because obviously, like I was working in Drogheda tonight, so I'm only going by the highlights or whatever on this as well. This defense, like we seen probably parts of this at the end of last year, with Mayo in there and Sean Keogh, but you add in Vinny Leonard, who obviously had an unbelievable game. But O'Keefe is probably going a little under the radar, but he is very astute in that, in that back position as well. And that probably, when you look across and you think of the age of those back four, probably having someone like O'Keefe there is monumental in what he's doing, and probably helping guide them along a long way through the match.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was interesting to see him, getting forward as well and getting involved in the play, especially early on in the game after we scored the goal. But when you look at even so late in the game, I know I don't want to go too far forward, but when we were under pressure for large parts of that second half, to have that kind of a presence, with the young lads. But again, these young lads, Mayoa, Vinny Leonard, Sean Keogh, they look like men. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think it was referenced. It was referenced at one point during the game that people forget that Vinny's only 17, and he again, for me, was probably one of the best players on the pitch tonight. Overall, Is
that a spoiler there?
It may be. So if you want to get your comments in now, folks, get it in. But it just helps. I mean, there's what we haven't conceded a goal now in 2 games, so it makes a big difference. Those lads are going to be going down the road. It's a chance of first team football for them, which is one of the kind of benefits of where we're at right now. Is young lads are finally getting their chance to show. But these young lads are, I mean, they look like they've been around the league for 4 or 5 years. The way they played tonight, for certain. I didn't get to see too much of last week's game, but tonight I thought that all across the back four and Minogue in goal, I thought we were excellent.
It seems to be. Is it a strange one coming from Kilduff? When we think of him, we think of that poacher in the box sort of a player. But this team, like you referenced it there, and probably what we've seen in the Drogheda match in the Malone Cup was a strong defence, got a goal, and then held out for the rest of the match, nullified anything from Drogheda. Last week, it seemed we went hell for leather early in the game. We did score, should have probably had 2-3 at that stage going in at half time, and second half just shut them out then completely again. Something similar sort of pattern here again. When you think about it, it's another early goal and then it's a shutout for the rest of the match then as well. That seems to be where Kieran really has built this team from, is that strong defence right the way up. Yeah,
I don't know if you're giving away a pizza for my first reference of being on the UEFA A license with Kilduff, but
there we go. Who's got the bingo card?
This is my first one of the season. But when I was on that with him and we were going through the sessions, like he's very, very structure focused, So I think he's probably trying to build those solid foundations and make sure that we're going to be hard to beat before we go forward. And it was actually something that I was planning to bring up at some point. I don't want to sound too disappointed because two wins in our opening 2 games, which I read somewhere tonight that we've never ever. That's the first time in our history that we've won back to back opening 2 games this season. Don't know how true that is. Jay McKeown's fault if it's not true, but if I can be anyway kind of critical or give kind of give the team, it did feel a little bit like disjointed when we got into that final third. It felt like defensively, I think we were solid throughout. They obviously had opportunities in in the second half, and we cleared one off the line, and Minogue had a couple of saves to make, but kind of out of character for Kilduff. I think we were all excited when he came in that we were going to have this kind of range of attacking options, and it looked that way a little bit at the beginning after that goal, but it just didn't feel like we had that kind of spark, and this is probably more a testament to the level we're currently at, but we lacked that little bit of creative spark in the final third, which I feel that's why the game was closer than it was. I think by the first half, in terms of possession and what we were doing with the ball, I feel like if we were a little bit more clinical up top, we probably would have could have scored, been 3-0 up at half time. Like, the game really could have been over by then. But yeah, to go back to your original question, I think he just, from being on that course with him, he's just structure, and I think he's probably trying to just nail down and make us hard to be bet. And hopefully, it's 1-0 and 1-0, but hopefully the goals will start coming as the team kind of gels together over time.
Is that why we're seeing a kind of similar starting lineup for 2 games in a row?
I'd say so. Yeah, I think he's, again, in some of the sessions that he put on, he's ruthless. Do you know what I mean? And I think he'll play his best 11 every match. He'll not try and tinker too much with it. I think he knows what he wants, and he's very driven. And I feel like, if it's not broke, he's not going to try and make changes just for the sake of changing things.
Yeah, you did mention about us probably needing to be a little bit more clinical. We seen in pre-season, we've seen that kind of Ebe through the middle, Gaxa on the right, and Owen Kenny on the left. Do you think is it just taking those 3 a little bit longer to gel and understand where everyone's making runs? And for Owen Kenny, that out left it's a bit of a new position for him too.
Yeah, I definitely think so. As I say, I think first half, again, it's my first chance really getting to see the team play this season. I was very impressed with Gaxa in the first half. I thought he was very, very good. It felt a little bit like he wasn't getting enough of the ball at times. He was in open space, and again, I'd say it's just because of where we're currently at and the talent pool that we have, and trying to, probably as Dundalk fan, to temper my expectations as to what we've had previously. But I really liked him, and then Owen Kenny kind of stood out for me in that
he had a big chance though he did miss.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, he stood out for me, and probably not for the right reasons, because you know the talent that the lad has, and he missed a big chance, and it just felt he looked uncomfortable out in that wide area tonight. Just didn't look. I feel like in around the box. Obviously, that chance that he had fell to him in the box, and I feel like that's where he's going to be successful. And I just, throughout the match tonight, just any time I saw him, he just didn't look overly comfortable to be where he was. And I think in the second half they actually moved him to the right at one stage as well. And again, just he just doesn't look threatening, I suppose, is the best, and he doesn't look sure of himself. There was a great chance in the second half where him and Horgan kind of broke free of the defenders, and it looked like a chance that Kenny, probably a confident Kenny, would have went himself, and he tried to play it across the goal straight into the keeper's hands on the floor. And it seems like a fella who's still trying to probably find his feet in this team, and find his confidence, I'd say, as well. It'll be a big one. I think, if he gets a goal, I think that'll probably put him at ease a little bit.
Yeah, I think last year, and probably most seasons, to be fair, Pingu, we've lamented the chances that right up to probably at the end of Kenny's era, that defenders weren't chipping in with enough goals. All of a sudden, we seem to have free-flowing defenders scoring from set pieces. I mean, it's strange, but it's definitely, like you're talking about, maybe just that front three not clicking as of yet. So it's important, I suppose, that we're not too dependent on one or two players to get goals. We do need goals from all over the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention his name, Brian Gartland. It's not since the era of Garth and Dane Massey used to chip in with a lot of goals. Sean Gannon then for a year or two was scoring, 5-6 goals a season. So that's the kind of form you want, to win you titles and hopefully get you promoted. So I think if we can spread the goals across the team, I don't think, again, you're not putting a lot of pressure. I think Ebb has came obviously from at loan with a lot of hype because he was top goal scorer, wasn't he, in the first division last year. So it's going to take a little bit of time for him probably to bed into the way of Kieran and Ken's style, and you could see that tonight he was trying things that just weren't working out for him. So I think look at having those goals at the back, and hopefully as time goes on, Horgan will chip in a few, and but the fact I'm not overly worried yet, that that we haven't scored a lot going from our forward players. I think that'll come, but I think look, it's definitely a good sign for me, and especially there's two young lads as well, because they'll only grow in confidence after scoring the last 2 weeks.
We did see Mayowa kind of hobble off with a bit of an injury at the end. I suppose that's one you're hoping is more of a precaution that we took him off on what looked like a kind of heavy enough pitch after and the rain and stuff that's obviously happened here today. There's no direct replacement, would you say, for Mayowa in that team, because he is a bit of a leader at the back too?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a concern, to be honest, when he came off, and it looked bad at the beginning, and then he looked like he was trying to kind of run it off and come back on, but I think then he kind of hobbled in the end, but he was trying to walk it off, so hopefully it's a little bit more precautionary than something too serious, and hopefully he's not out for too long.
We got to see a bit of Norman Garbutt as well, come in probably for his first run out, and someone who's obviously just lacking, coming in late, missing a lot of pre-season. I suppose he's always kind of playing catch up. Did you see enough out of him from last season to kind of say there's a place for him in this team? It's a player that, I'd struggle to tell you where his best position is.
Yeah, I can't tell you a whole pile about him, to be honest. And then when he came on, I felt a little bit sorry for him when he came on, because if you chat to Keith Wallace, he'll tell you how good Garbutt's going to be in the first division. But he came on at a time that we were chasing, or we were kind of holding on to our lead, and there was a lot of defending going on. So it seemed when we did get the ball forward, there was a couple of lads, including Garbutt, that were kind of tripping over each other just to try and get a touch on it. So didn't get to see enough of him tonight to kind of make any judgment. But again, hopefully, in the next few weeks, he'll get more game time, and hopefully, if he's obviously came as a Premier Division player for us as well. So hopefully, if once he gets himself fit, he can be a big player for us.
Just on signings, when Enda Minogue signed, for me, it seemed like Killer and Ken identified in Dean Ebbe someone who can score goals, and in Enda Minogue someone who can stop the ball from going in the net. He had the most clean sheets last year in the first division, really kind of got himself into that at loan number one spot and made it his own. You can see, even looking at today's game and if you add in last week's as well, he's very good at controlling his box. He's very fast off his line. He seems to be a far more complete goalkeeper when you think of some of the keepers. Last year we were thinking, 3 keepers or 4 keepers we went through and we couldn't find one to make it stick. He does seem like a lot more commanding and somebody who, would demand the number one spot, and he seems to settle in very quickly. Yeah,
I would even say before the Nathan Shepherd days, I don't think I've seen a goalkeeper for the club kind of command his box in the way that you say. Like, he just seemed... Again, tonight was probably, and the Malone Cup was, he didn't play in that, did he, in the Malone Cup? But tonight was my first chance to get to watch him.
No, Malone Cup, he came in one, all right, yeah.
So when I got to see
one
that...
before that. Yeah, it was the one before that he played in the Leinster Senior Cup.
Right. Tonight was the first chance that I got to properly sit and watch a match. And
you done nothing last week, so don't worry. You see more of them.
But I thought like he did look assured. He obviously second half, like I said, we were under a bit of pressure. But anytime the ball came in around the box, I felt like he done well. And another good commentary tidbit: at one point, one of the Finn Harps midfielders played a ball, and the commentator said, "That's an unbelievable pass." The ball went straight to Minogue, and there was nobody within 25 yards of him. So I don't know what pass the commentator was looking at, but I think he looks like he's going to be good, and I think that again that helps those young lads in front of him too. If they know they've got someone that commands their box like that in behind them, it just makes them a little bit more comfortable as well.
Yeah, it's not easy, this first division stuff, but the dads definitely seem to have picked, like even Harry Groom, someone who, you know, got a lot of football and seemed to express himself very well at Bray last year, you know, to be able to get him in. And I didn't get to see tonight too much of him. I know he came off in a substitute, but he looks as someone that Killer wants to get on the ball and carry the ball and move us up through the thirds. He's that sort of a player. Like he's really exciting as well. And that's kind of, when you think about Ebe, probably even Minogue right away then to Harry Groom, that's a whole spine of a team of kind of key players who've already impressed in this division.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like he's looking for kind of tried and tested. But I think what's interesting is, you know, Kilduff seems to have a style of play. You know, he seems to want to get down and play football. You know, watching bits of, or I listened in last week, and it sounded like we were on top for large parts of the game, and but actually getting the ball down and playing, it was like the opposite of what you expect from first team football. And even tonight, it was the contrast in playing styles between both ourselves and Harps. Is even when we were under that pressure, we were trying to get rid of it, but then if we had a little bit of space, we were trying to play some passes. So it's an opportunity for these lads to kind of put themselves out there that, you know, if we have a good season and get promoted, these lads will want to take us into the Premier Division as well. So I thought, you know, from what I seen at Groom, he was trying to get on it. He looked like he was a decent player. Dervin obviously just does a lot of the legwork, you know, the kind of job that doesn't a lot of the time doesn't get the credit he deserve, you know, and he's pulling his socks up a little bit higher, which always which has definitely made me feel a little bit better talking nice about it. I know he listens into the show, so
I was going to say that I hope he gets a chuckle out of that one.
If you're listening, just make sure you keep them socks pulled up this season, because I thought you were great today.
Just when you talk about transfers there, just looking at other results coming in tonight in the division as well. Treaty beating Athlone 5-0. What I really took from our game last week was that they looked like 11 individuals, because they had to clear that whole team out, new coach in, and he's picking all brand new players. That's a tough bedding in process. And like Athlone would have been talked about as one of those teams who'd be in the mix, but like that's 2 defeats, and tonight was a heavy one for them too.
It was, yeah. When you look at Lone and Cove were two that were mooted, and I don't think Treaty was kind of in any conversation whatsoever about doing well, or Kerry as well. Obviously, we have the Brian Ainscough derby next week down in Kerry. I don't know if that's another name that I'm allowed to mention or not, but Kerry's currently second in the table, you know, so they're already. It's only 2 games, so you can't judge anybody too early, but.
Anyone picking up a point down in Cove at the moment is a hell of a point.
Yeah, and it makes for an interesting season this season. You know, I think when you're in the Dundalk bubble, there's a big expectation on ourselves. You know, our supporters put a big expectation that we're going to go straight back up. But when you look at kind of outside it, as Jerry Malone likes to say, the Dublin media, when you hear, you know, everybody's been talking up Athlone, they've been talking up Cove. I know the bookies have made Dundalk favourites, but I think that's because most Dundalk people put money on Dundalk to get promoted, as opposed to the actual side of it. And I think if you remove yourself from the Dundalk bubble, Kilduff's actually been able to kind of quietly do his business. You know, it probably sounds a lot louder because we're all in it, but when you actually look on the outside, it has been Athlone, it has been Cove that's been kind of touted, and they haven't started well. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't ask for a better start than 2 wins. We've scored. You could ask for more goals, but we've scored, and we haven't conceded yet. So as long as we keep that up, you know, 1-0s are shite. I hate it watching the second half, especially when they put us under a bit of pressure. But if you win every game 1-0, you get promoted at the end of the season. So that's all that really matters. So.
Yeah, just to wrap up the game here, Dean, and we'll go into our player of the match after this.
Yep.
Last week, it's a dominant performance and a win. It could have been more, should have been more. Tonight, it seemed like we got the goal, searched maybe for a winner, and then retreated back. So it's a different one. That Athlone never put the pressure on us tonight, but we definitely had the pressure from Harps tonight. Is that, you know, I suppose from Kieran and Ken's point of view, they're looking at us digging out a different type of win, if you know what I mean. Like we hadn't had a team bring it to us like the pressure we had in the last 10 minutes, where it was cross after high ball, corner after corner there tonight, scramble in the box, like you said, off the line. It was mayhem at times to watch, but it's good to dig out those things, especially on the road.
Yeah, they're test of characters, those kind of games, and I would say they passed the test. As you said, alone last week could have been should have been a higher score. I believe, even though we were under a lot of pressure tonight, I think by half time we with more clinical finishing. I see that Frank just mentioned about taking our chances. I feel like we had enough chances in the first half that we could have been 2-0, 3-0 up and a lot more comfortable in the second half. But I think those last 15-20 minutes were 100%. They were a test of character, and even when you see. We obviously alluded to Mayowa earlier in the match or earlier in the program, and when he went down injured, again you're under that kind of pressure, and probably your strongest centre back goes down and has to come off. That's another test of character. So if I'm Ken and Kieran, I mean you can't really be any happier at passing that test and coming back down the road. I mean, this is probably going to be, with the exception maybe of Kerry, it's probably going to be the toughest away match that you're going to go to this season. So that's one kind of test passed.
If you had to pick a player of the match,
I'm looking through the. I thought about going for Kyo because he scored the goal, but I just feel, and I agreed again the second time in the match that I agreed with the commentators. I think Finney Leonard was just immense. I think. Again, you take his age into it, but he stands there like a man. He defends like someone, as I say, that's been in the league for 5, 6, 7 years. He is, yeah. He's a big old unit, but he moves like someone, and he looks like someone that's been playing adult football for 5, 6, 7 years at this point and playing in the top league. So for me, I'm going to go Finney Leonard. I don't think anybody picked that, Chris. So
well, I was going to give it to Sean Keogh. You can't score a free kick like that on the road, pal, and not good.
Well, what did he do for the other 88 minutes, Chris? Come on.
I'd like to welcome in Andy Parishev, who's obviously watching on the bus on the way home. So you're very welcome, Andy. Well done tonight. I just think the thing I'm enjoying about Sean Keogh, and we talked about it in the preseason chat as well, from what we seen last game of the season last year, in Drogheda, we saw a confident player, wants to take on players, I didn't even know there was width to be found on that Drogheda pitch, and somehow he was finding it, and he seemed to kind of grow in confidence. And the thing I'm really loving about Sean Keogh this year is he's brought that confidence into this season, and we're seeing a player who probably a year in the first division he's going to grow in confidence because he's going to have that little bit extra space that he wouldn't get in the Premier Division. And I think that he's going to grow in character, he's going to grow in confidence, and we're going to get a fantastic player out of it. Like I said, I didn't know he had these free kicks in his locker. I was trying to think, when's the last time we scored a direct free kick? Surely it couldn't be Macmillan's free.
Michael Duffy.
I was thinking Macmillan's one at the end of 2-3 seasons ago.
He stepped up and final, wasn't it?
No, it was last game of the season, and he stepped up and just whacked in a free kick. We won 2-0. Those are the heady days when we could win 2-0 in the Premier Division. Oh God. I think that seemed to me like the last time we've had a direct free kick. So it's nice to do it. It's nice to be able to score set pieces, because I always thought they were the thing that was in the locker. Well, especially under Stephen Kenny, we were the team that you didn't even want to concede a corner against us.
Yeah.
Because we looked threatening, and now we seem to. And we always kind of lamented it, because it's like, surely this is something we should be working on the training ground on, and you should be able to come up with patterns of play and things movement we make in the box to make us dangerous, or but for the past 2 seasons we didn't really see that as a team from us. So to score 2 goals from set pieces, I'm chuffed. And screw you, I'm giving this to Sean Keogh, pal. So congratulations to AB Rose. You are a winner of our Tony's Pizza tonight. I've done it again. Our Tony's Pizzeria 15-inch pizza. I keep calling it Tony's Pizza.
Amy, Darren Meenan's not allowed to pick what toppings you're putting on it, all right?
Fair play. Yeah, exactly. We'll keep that off. Tintomato is right. John Martin's free kick. I forgot about that. Yes, that's it. But there you go. Still 2023. It's been a moment. in Dundalk, pal. That is an absolute lifetime ago. We probably said going to Ballybofey won't be easy. Neither will going all the way down to Tralee, where we'll find our next game. Pingo, you've set this up nicely for the Brian Ainscough derby. How do you see that one playing out?
It's hard to know, because I think, Kerry have made Joe Adams obviously signed there, who until he got injured was a good player for us, so they've got obviously investment over the off season as well. And again, that when we talk about clubs kind of doing their business and falling under the radar, Kerry unbeaten in 2 as well, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one. You'd hope. I don't know what that pitch is like. I've never actually watched a Kerry match. I might watch
Astro again.
Well, that obviously suit us, but I don't know in terms of like how tight it is. When we talk about even Ballybofey today as a tight pitch that you're on there, I don't know how tight it is. But yeah, you'd be hoping after the last 2 games. I've seen enough to say that I think we'll score in 2 minutes, and then we'll hold on for a 1-0 win again. But no, I'd be confident after the last 2 games that I feel like we can go and get something. You take a point going all the way down there. I presume on current with our current budgets and stuff like that, the players are probably traveling. Actually, I don't know this for definite. This is just speculation, but they're probably traveling Friday. That's a long spin down to Kerry, because some of them probably.
I think actually I was talking to John Temple. I think he could be bringing them down the previous night. Right. That was a plan. It was a plan at one stage, anyway.
That's fair enough then.
Don't know what to go on any further than that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting, and I just want to give a shout out to the Dundalk fans. I know Mulla's listening in, but. They have a really good chant about going to Kerry away, which I think will be posted somewhere in the next day or 2. So, so just keep your eyes peeled for that. But one thing, just actually while we are talking on the thing, isn't it great to do a podcast and have the crack again? And isn't it great to, like, I didn't get to see last week's game, but I was listening in. I was listening in to Dundalk FM for it. It's fantastic to actually hear atmosphere at Oriel again, and. It's something that has also been missing over, and I would say longer than 2 years, that real atmosphere. And it felt like Monday night there was a bit of, last Friday night there was a bit more optimism, and it was back to grassroots, and there just feels to be that kind of air of it again, that probably is missing since it's up all right. Cheers, Mulla. But yeah, I want to give the supporters a shout out, because stuff like that gets you excited for it as well as the team, and that does lift the team. And I feel like that's been missing probably for about 3 or 4 years now. I think it even predates the last 2. So yeah, it's great to hear that kind of optimism around again.
Yeah, it's funny, and I think there was an interview with Mayo during the week, and he actually referenced it as well. He's like, to come out to. In Oriel Park to the big display, the crowd, and that crowd kept going the whole match through to help carry them through as well. So I think, like Mulla says, there's a good buzz all around again, and you're right. It has been a long time, and it seemed like it was just one catastrophe after another for the past few years, or missed opportunities, players that we weren't able to sign, and then all of a sudden they were all coming in late and hard to gel. Like it's been a roller coaster for I don't know how long now as well. So it just seems, like you said, maybe it's the fact that Killer and Ken actually got their business done early. We'd have had a much more settled squad. It feels like we've had a better pre-season, even coming into the season. We seem better prepared than we have over the past few years as well. And I think that's probably why we now look hard to beat, hard to score against. These things that seemed alien to us over the past few seasons now, like are really coming back to us. And like I said, definitely there's a buzz around the town again, and that only comes when there's results up in Oriel. You can't manufacture that.
No,
if you know what I mean. Like it's hard work from the team generates that, and it comes back in tenfold. I always think via the supporters, but the fact that the players are picking up on things like that now as well, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I think there's even a bit of a siege mentality at the minute, isn't there? I think Dundalk and the supporters, I think, again, have done a really good job of, we got ourselves relegated. We didn't kind of cry foul or anything like that. We knew we were where we were supposed to be. You know what I mean? Unfortunately,
100%.
That's where it's supposed to be. But, even things from, I think, winning the Malone Cup, while, people have opinions on the tweet that the club account put out after it. But I think there's like,
they're forever in the shadows, already.
Yeah, but there's an attitude to us, and there always was, and I feel like that attitude kind of after Stephen Kenny left, I feel like that attitude kind of went away a little bit, and I feel like now that it's back, I don't necessarily see that as a negative or a bad thing. I think we need to kind of live up to that. Everybody hates them though. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look on social media, everyone hates it, but let's make them eat their words, and I think that's part of it. I think that adds to the enjoyment of it as well, because I think unless you're involved in Dundalk, unless you support Dundalk, you don't know what it actually means. So I just I'm excited. I'm excited again. I think the last year, obviously after Maxie's passing and everything that was kind of happening around that time, it wasn't a good time to be a Dundalk fan, and I felt a bit indifferent about it. But there's definitely I feel very excited about it this season, and I know Kieran Kilduff, who I done an A license with as well, so that helps. Did I tell you that?
Is that the hat trick? Is that the hat trick?
No, that's only twice, is it? I've said it. I'll get it in one more before we wrap up.
All right. But it's funny that Kieran did mention everyone's going to want to take that Dundalk scalp. Everyone wants to say that they beat them, and I think he uses that as motivation as well. Like he knew going up to Ballybofey tonight that they were out to get us. Yeah. That if they could pull a result, then it's every club wants to stick it back to us to say Dundalk aren't going to get it their own way. You can't just roll down here, pick the best few players out of the league and win the league. It doesn't happen like that, because there's teams down there for years, and it's hard to get out of. We know that more than anyone, how hard the first division is to get out of. Like, there is no cut and paste formula that guarantees you to get out of the first division. Cork went down there with a decent squad, and it still took them 3 years to get back up.
Yep.
Last year. So it just goes to show how hard this can be. But the fact that we're able to put these results up, and like I said, make that little siege mentality. We are Dundalk. Have a little about you, because everyone wants to knock you off your pedestal. Everyone's just waiting for that opportunity. Yep. But when you're up there, you might as well create that aura around you.
Play into it. We should be playing into it. And that's where, again, and I understand people's different opinions on some of the tweets that the club account has put out. But why the fuck not? Like, everyone else is saying it. You know what I mean? Like, everyone else is saying it. Why not just wind them up a little bit more? People want to see us fail. And if we fail, and that's more egg on our face. But how much egg has been on our face the last couple of years? So, you know what I mean? What's a little bit more? And if we get promoted, then it's egg on their face.
Yeah, to be fair, we've been throwing the eggs in our own face for the past few years. So I think it's a nice change of direction. Bingo, I definitely cannot have you on. We mentioned it last week and the week before as well. But you've your own little plans here in the background. We've plenty of names coming through, legends. I was working with Crowles tonight, and I said, I hear you pulled in. I'm going to just give an L good run around, he said tonight. So make sure you do give him a run around. But just if you want to just kind of tell everyone about what the match is kind of set up, what it's for, and some of the names involved too.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so it's the third annual Charlie May Shield in memory of myself and Emily's first daughter, Charlie May, who we lost in 2020. We do the Charlie May Shield was set up in 2023. We done the first match down at Coothill. The last match this past November was in was in Chicago, and we're trying to every year we're trying to kind of move it between one country and the other, between Ireland and the US. This year on April 19th, Easter Saturday, we're playing up in Oriel Park. Dundalk FC Legends against Team Charlie. I'm going to be playing on Team Charlie, and I'm thinking, why the fuck did I put that Dundalk FC Legends team together? As Chris said, there's some great names, and we've obviously been posting about it on social media and trying to generate a little bit of buzz. There's players that, and part of it for me is and I spoke to someone, Stephen Todd, about this today. I take a lot of pride in, stepping onto a field with some of these legends, people that meant a lot to me, maybe during my time working with the club, people that meant a lot and helped me build that affinity and that love for Dundalk Football Club. So we have, and they're also, these people are people that never really got this proper send-off that they deserved. I believe a lot of these people from Oriel Park from their time. So I implore as many fans as possible to get out and watch it and support that match. We have, I think my daughter's just behind there trying to get in. But Darius Kieran's and Mark Rossiter are going to be managing the Dundalk Legends. Our own Steph McKevitt's going to be captain in the Legends. Steph has been doing unbelievable work behind the scenes and helping set all this up, and he's been reaching out to the players that he was on the teams with. Chris Bennian's going to be playing Gary Rogers, so the goalkeepers union is stacked with two legends. Defenders, I can't even name them all, but we Steph, Davy Crawley, Shane Grimes is going to play. We're going to have I'm trying to think. We're hoping to have Dane Massey. It's not confirmed yet. Again, when I talk about people that never got the send off they deserved, I'm hoping that we get Dane Massey for that, as well as some more that I'm going to leave people out. But obviously, over time, we can chat a little bit more. About it, and then we have from the 2010 era. We've the likes of Tiernan Mulvena, Matthew Tipton, who I know is a cult hero after his hat trick against Shamrock Rovers.
Rather have him than Finn.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. Chris, you stole me limelight with that. Tiernan Mulvena, obviously local lad. I don't know how he'll get the reaction to him will be with his Drogheda colours, but
it'd be all right.
We have Mark Quigley, who again that was one of my favourite players to ever wear the black and white. And then so I don't want to name everyone because I'll forget somebody, but one thing also that I think is worth mentioning is that Joey Malone, who hasn't been well for the last year or so, is intending to come down to watch the game. So hoping that it's a fantastic event. Obviously on Team Charlie's side, it's a lot of lads that I would have grew up with, but we also have 8 fathers that are going to be involved in that team, including who've unfortunately experienced similar to what myself and Emily have experienced, including from this podcast, yourself, Chris, obviously is going to be involved, and Donald Hanks is also going to be involved in that. So hopefully it's a great day. We're going to have a raffle, so tickets are on sale now for €10. I think Steph is getting 200 of them to sell, not to buy, but he's going to be inundating everyone. Chris doesn't know it yet, but he's taking 20 of those to sell. But some of the prizes we have an overnight stay at the Pillow Hotel in Ashbourne with bed and breakfast for 2 people. We have £50 meal voucher for, I think it's the Willow House in Newry. A signed Chicago Fire jersey from 2022 that has John Duran is on it. And are we allowed to mention him, Chris? And Shakira
still counted his money since he left.
Yeah, Duran. I was so in Chicago.
Yeah.
Duran and Shaqiri's name is on that. An AFC Wrexham jersey is going to be auction, or is going to be there for raffle as well. And then there's other prizes that are still coming in. There's a box of steaks from ABP. So there's 20 strip line steaks. If anybody wants to win, it's €10 is all you need. But I think we're going to see potentially if we can get the Lily White open or get somewhere open after it that we can do the raffle as well. So
brilliant.
There's not happening. Sorry, I went on a long tangent about it, but all proceeds go to Féileacán from the raffle. We've got jersey sponsored by Right Concrete, and our own Donald Green sponsored the Dundalk Legends jerseys as well. So all of the jerseys are going to be, all proceeds, we're not paying for anything. None of that money from the raffle is going to any prizes or anything like that. It's all going to Féileacán, who do absolutely fantastic work for people who've unfortunately experienced baby loss. So it'll be a great event. Hopefully it'll be a little bit of a of a session for all Dundalk fans after, and as I say, a chance to remember some club legends as well while we're there. And our own Kieran Kilduff might play. There's that our game is sandwiched in between two matches, but if the schedule, the training schedule allows, he's already said that he's going to play in it as well.
Yeah, and do you have a link up today just with those tickets? So if anyone wants to buy
I did have a link up, and then I also have a GoFundMe. We've not a GoFundMe and I donate page. So if people don't want to buy tickets but they want to donate, we'll put your name into the hat for the raffle as well. So yeah, whatever works for anybody. But our hope is to raise €5,000. We don't want to put a goal on it. Whatever we raise is great for the charity, but we'd love to get to 5,000. So yeah, if anybody's interested in donating or buying a raffle ticket, then reach out to myself, Steph, now Chris, that he's got 100 tickets to sell. Donald, just only 20. Any of us.
It was only 20 a minute ago. What happened there?
You don't want to take 150, no?
I see where you're going with this.
But yeah, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great event, and I'm looking forward to being back in Oriel. I haven't been there now in 2 years.
Yeah, still the same. Don't worry. No, brilliant event, and I love when the events like this are at our Oriel Park, and you see players like this come back then as well, and like Matty Tipton, that's a special night. Mark Quigley for that season, and that golden braid that time and stuff like that as well. So it's class to have players back like that then as well. Definitely one not to be missed. So just check out the links there. I think we've shared everything from yourself as well on the socials for the podcast here. We'll stick something into the description on this show as well, so it'll come up across everywhere else then as well. Just a reminder, the last few, I think it's only 5 places left as well on our player sponsor for Owen Kenny for this year's home jersey. It's only 5 places left, so if anyone wants to get involved into that, it's €12, and we're going to have to close that very, very soon because there are only, as I said, 5 places left on that. I think that's about us, Pingu, unless you have something else.
No, that's it. I've spoken off.
You go and count your John Duran money. So
Duran, is that what you said?
Exactly. We want to thank, as always, Donald Green and Dundalk Village for our main sponsors, Vinny and everyone in Tony's Pizzeria for our player of the match, Player Fit, who we will have something hopefully mid-season. I'm thinking, Pingu, we might have something to kind of announce, maybe new shirt for the 2025 season. And of course, Mark Carlin, who's come on board at Black Mountain Studios as our new sponsor as well. Just a quick reminder, I think I did mention it last week, but Dave Keenan's gig in the Spirit Store, I think it's sold out now, but just a reminder for everyone that it is Sunday, the 23rd in the Spirit Store. Could be sold out, but check with Mark. There might be something at the old bar, squeeze you in somewhere. You never know. Right, I think that's us, Pingu.
Perfect.
Good to have you,
Million, Chris. Yeah, nice to be back on. Nice to have a bit of optimism.
Go on, I'll let you end it. So,
we don't want to go to break because we want to go to Kerry away.
My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and